Hi everybody, good afternoon. I hope that you're having a good day. This video is a grammar explanation of the difference between so and such. Okay, every week I have been making videos in relation to grammar, and today I want to finish the week with this video. Okay, so here you can see on the left, this is a very good website for grammar. So if you have questions or if you want to study yourself grammar, I recommend this page. It's the British Council and they have a very good section for grammar. You can see here. And if you go down the page, there are 3 different sections. The first section is for beginners, okay, so A1 or A2. The second section is for intermediate and upper intermediate, B1 or B2. And I think the third section has more detail as well. So today we will select the intermediate and uppermediate to begin. And then after, I will move to the Cambridge Grammar website here, which is very, very good as well. So to begin, we will begin with the British Council explanation of so and such. And then after, we will look at the Cambridge explanation, which is a little more advanced in relation to such and in relation to so. Okay, so let's begin with the intermediate level for so and such. And you can see in my videos last week, I have explained each topic here. As and like, I have made a video for enough. I have made a video for the next one, in spite of, despite, although, even though, and though. And last Friday, I made a video with just, yet, still, and already. So today I want to continue with so and such. Okay, so we click here and you can see the explanation. So the beginning, do you know how to use the words so and such? So I'll make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see a bit better. And that's the topic for the class. And they say, let's look at these examples to see how so and such are used. Okay, so here's the example. She is so interesting. Okay, this is such an interesting book. A new phone costs so much money these days, and traffic in the city centre is such a nightmare. So the basic explanation here, so is usually before the adjective. Okay, so happy, so tired, so hungry. Usually the adjective, and then you have the so before, okay, to intensify, to increase the sensation of the adjective. Okay, the second example, such, is usually with the substantivo, the substantive. So here we have the substantive, we have the indefinite article, and the adjective. So such is usually connected with the substantive, okay? Such a great day, such a big car, such a hot summer, okay? So such with substantive and so for adjective, okay? The third example is so, typical with much, okay, and many. So much and many. And you remember the difference between countable and uncountable substantive. So countable is, for example, hands, plates, pens, books. It's possible to count one book, one pen, one hand. That's countable. So in that situation, we say many. And then uncountable, air, water, chocolate, we say many. So how much air do you want for uncountable and how many for countable? Okay, so here, money is uncountable. So for that reason, we use much. And then so again is typical with much to intensify or to increase the sensation, okay, the emphasis. And then the final example is similar with the substantive again. So such a nightmare. So it's emphasis, really a nightmare. And the vocabulary for nightmare is in Spanish specifically here. So you know it's the opposite for a dream, really. You have a nice dream, a good dream, and then a bad dream is a nightmare. And in Spanish, pesadilla, okay, mal sueño. So that's the basic little explanation, but here is the official explanation, the grammar explanation from the British Council. So we can use so and such to intensify adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. And you remember my list. So always at the beginning, this list is very important. So the adjective, the adverb, and the noun is in the grammar section here. And it is important for sure, okay? And here is the substantive, the adjective, the adverb, and also at the bottom we have the intensifiers, so and such. Okay, so this document I will continue to use every day for an explanation. Okay, so here we use so and such to intensify adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. So in relation to adjectives and adverbs, we can use so with an adjective or adverb to make it stronger. It is so hot, adjective. So young, adjective. And then adverb, ly, so slowly. So he walks so slowly. Okay, so that's the rule with the adjective and the adverb. If we are using the comparative form of the adjective or adverb, we use so much. So to make it stronger. So here is the comparative, more innocent. And with the comparative, we normally have so much more innocent. Okay, again, to make it more intense, to make it more dramatic and more emphasis. And here we have the comparative adverb. Okay, so to do something more quickly than another person, comparative adverb. And in that case, it's the same, so much more quickly. Okay, so a little technical, but that's the explanation. And then with substantivos, so and such with substantivos, we use such in relation to substantivo, again, to make it stronger. So you're such an angel. Angel is the substantivo, and is the indefinite article, and such is necessary. Okay, here we have adjective, but also substantive. And in this case, it's necessary such a hot day. Okay, here we have substantivo, trousers como pantalones, lovely, adjective. So we have one adjective and one substantive. But in this case, again, because of the substantive, it's necessary such. Okay, good. However, sin embargo, when we use much or many or little or few with a noun, we use so to make it stronger. Okay, so many, little, we use so to emphasize again, to make it stronger. So there are so many people here. Remember, one person and two people, one person singular, three people in plural. In Spanish, it's un persona y dos personas, but in English, it's one person and two people. Okay, so very important. I have had, that's the present perfect. So little, and then for that reason, it's necessary so little time. So really, really more emphasis, more intense. Okay, to myself this week. Good. So that is the rule with so and such before adjective, adverb, and substantive. So now we go to the next section where they say the result, or they describe or say, decir, to say the result. So we often, frequently use these so and such structures with that and a clause to say what the result is. And in my opinion, this is very important in fluency, in relation to cohesion, and in relation to exams. The connection with so and the result, that he is da. Okay, so adjective or adverb, and that, or such with substantive, that, the consequence. So the connection is very important between so and such and that and the consequence. Okay, so we can see here, it was adjective, so cold that, and now we have the consequences of the cold weather. The water in the lake froze. So the verb is to freeze. And here is the translation to freeze. In Espanol, congelar. Okay, so that's a very good example. So with the adjective and the consequences of the situation, that the water in the lake froze. Okay, he was such a good teacher. So substantive. Yes, we have adjective, but really it's the substantive with the indefinite article. So it's necessary such. So he was such a good teacher. Consequences, that we all passed the exam. And typical for the exam is to pass the exam. The opposite is to fail. Pass an exam, fail an exam. Very important vocabulary. Okay. The next one, there is so much noise. So again, it's to intensify the noise. There's so much noise, and the consequence of the noise, that, and the new clausula, nuevo clausula, I cannot think. Okay, so that's a very important part in my opinion, for sure. Okay, so that's the basic explanation of so and such, and we have two exercises here. We have the grammar test 2 and we have the grammar test 1 at the top. So vamos a ver, we have a look at the grammar test 1, and hopefully we can try to have a good result. Okay, So I am something excited about sobre my trip to Canada. So excited is an adjective, but also you need to be very clear the difference between excited and exciting. So your feeling or your sensation is excited, but the action or the activity is exciting in this case. Very important difference. Bored, boring, interested, interesting, excited, exciting. You need to be very clear, okay? And because it's an adjective, it's necessary so, okay? And where are the options? I hope we have the options here on the screen. Or maybe we just enter them ourselves. So, yeah, okay. The second one, shame, es un verbo, okay, to shame, pero también es un substantivo. Y aquí tenemos un artículo indefinado, the indefinite article. For that reason, it's the substantive. And when you have the substantive and you want to intensify the substantive, it's necessary such. Okay, it's such a shame you could not make it, you could not arrive, you could not come to the party. He worked, subject, verb, past simple. Okay, subject, verb, past simple. Hard is the adverb in this case because it's connected to the verb to work. So for this reason, I think it's necessary so. He worked so hard. He worked so quickly. He worked so long. Okay, because it's the adverb in this case, it's necessary so. And it's necessary the preposition to work on. Okay, work on your English, work on your mathematics, work on your teaching to improve. The next one, a cook, is like a chef in the kitchen. So the person in the kitchen that makes all the food is the cook or a chef. Two possibilities in English. So it's a substantive. The article is here, indefinite, but it's with the N because the next word begins with a vocal in Espanol, a vowel. So because the word begins with a vocal, a vowel, it's necessary an. Adjective, amazing, cook. So for that reason, the structure, it's necessary such. He's such an amazing cook. Remember the consequence, that. So he's such an amazing cook, and the consequence, I always ask him for his recipes. Okay. The next one, number 5. I'll just move down the page. It always, siempre, takes, tomar, it always takes much longer. So this is comparative. Okay, adjective comparative. And for that reason, you remember the rule, it's necessary so much with the adjective. So much longer, so much happier, so much more interesting. So for comparative adjective, it's necessary so much together. Okay, so much more exciting to get there, to arrive there when you drive. The next, subject, we have had, is the verb structure in the present perfect, because the perfect you need the auxiliary have and the participle is had. So present perfect, we have had. Again, rain is the substantive, but really much is the key. So we have had much rain, but you want to intensify much, so it's necessary so much. We've had so much rain lately, and again, the consequence, that the river almost flooded. The verb in English to flood is inundar, okay? And flooded is the adjective and the past simple. They could, modal verb, possibility, they may, they could, they might get, obtain or achieve, lograr in Espanol, their project done, something more cheaply if they use local suppliers. Cheap is barato, y cheaply is baratamente. No sé si existe, pero baratamente. And again, because it's the comparative in the adverb, so it's a comparative in the adverb. The previous example was the comparative in the adjective, but again, it's necessary so. Intensify, okay? So much more cheaply. And then the next, my cats, is the subject in the plural, mi gatos, have got. That's the present perfect as well, okay? Have got. Here we have substantivo, is substantivo in the plural, no article, because for the substantivo it's not necessary. Gorgeous is the adjective, so because it's a substantivo, it's necessary such. Okay, so that's 8, and I think everything is more or less good. Let me check. 8 from 8. Okay, very good. So hopefully with the explanation from the grammar, you have the same feeling and the same understanding. Okay, so the next one is grammar exercise 2. And again, more or less the same structure. So painting is the substantivo, beautiful is the adjective, a is the indefinite article, and verb is was to be, it was, and for this reason, substantivo, it's necessary such. But remember, that is the consequence. So it was such a beautiful painting that she decided to hang colgar, it substitute representation for the painting, in preposition for the living room. Okay, there are in Espanol, there are things, many. Okay, so there are many things to do. This sentence is correct without any word because it's okay. There are lots of things to do, but you want to intensify the expression, and to intensify many is necessary so. So there are so many things to do before we move house. Okay, planificar is the verb in English to plan. You planned, past simple, this essay. Okay, it's the writing, this essay. You planned this essay more carefully. So this is the comparative in the adverb. You remember the previous examples, the comparative in the adjective and the comparative in the adverb. So here it's the comparative in the adverb. And for that reason, you have much, and it's necessary so much more carefully, so much more quickly, so much more carefully in this case. Okay, so again, so, because it's the comparative in the adverb. Well done. Hecha, buen hecha. Good job. Well done. Okay. A hassle. Very good vocabulary. So a hassle is a problem. Molestado, molestar. The verb to hassle is to molestar, and a hassle is the substantivo. It's a problem. It's a frustration. It's an annoyance. Okay. And here it's a substantive. We have the article, and for that reason, we want to intensify the substantivo. We use such. Okay, so it is such a hassle when, cuando, you lose. So the verb is to lose in the present, past is lost, okay, and substantivo is loss. So you need to be clear with the difference. The verb is to lose, the past is I lost, and the substantivo is the loss. Okay, and here we have she lost, I think, where is that number 4? Yes, you lose in the present in general your wallet, and the wallet is the object for the money in your bolsilla. It's the pocket, and the wallet is the object for the money. Okay, with all the things you have to cancel, obligation to cancel and replace. Number 5. Okay, so kind is the adjective. Okay, so kind is the adjective. Him is the object pronoun, so it's not the substantivo. So because of this, to intensify the adjective, we need so. Okay, again, the consequence, that. Because he was kind, the consequence of this, I bought him some flowers to say thank you. And the verb to buy is comprar, and in the past it's bought. Okay, the next one, the verb to think, pensar. In the past it's irregular. I thought this season, temporano, okay, was better than. So this is comparative adjective. And remember the rule for the comparative adjective and the comparative adverb, it's necessary so much. Okay, so much better than. The last. I watched all the episodes in, for the preposition, one weekend. Number 7. I've never had, so the subject I, the verb is have plus had. Entonces it's the present perfect because you have the auxiliary verb have and the participle had. Never is nunca in the position in the middle. I have never had. Hardworking is the adjective. Students is the substantivo. And before is the time. Okay, so it's a similar structure to before. Substantivo, adjective, we need such. Okay, very clear, very important, I hope. They go, subject they, go, ir, el verbo, to, preposition, possession, their, my restaurant, your restaurant, their restaurant, local restaurant, adverb. So regularly is the adverb, and to intensify an adverb, it's necessary so. Okay, so regularly, and the consequence is that all the staff, all the workers know their names. So here it's the rule with the adverb, and to intensify the adverb you need so. Okay, so let's finish, and I hope we are close. Yeah, everything is correct. 8 from 8. Very good. So this website, the British Council, is very clear, very, very good. And for intermediate to upper intermediate, this is a very, very good website. And in my previous videos, I have explained all the other topics before. Okay, and you can see in my playlist on the page the different videos. Okay, so that's a good level. But now I want to go to the Cambridge Grammar website. So this is more or less a similar explanation, but incredibly in English, for more advanced situations, we have more uses of so and such. And I think the Cambridge page explains very, very well the extra uses of so and such. Okay, so here, so plus adjective and so plus adverb is to intensify. So that's exactly the same as we did before, no problem. Okay, intensifier to mean very, so dangerous. Okay, so that's the same. So we will go to the next section, so much and so many. We use so before much and many, and little and few, again, to intensify. And we have seen that in the British Council explanation. Okay. Now, this is maybe a little bit more advanced and a little extra. So for substitution. Okay. And in formal contexts, and I'll make the page a little bit bigger so you can see it. So in formal contexts, we can use so instead of en lugar de, an adjective phrase after a verb. Okay, the bus service subject was very unreliable. So this verb is very important. The verb is to rely, and it's similar to depend on. Okay, and it's usual in English to rely on. So the adjective is reliable. Adjective. Okay, and then the negative is unreliable. So reliable is the adjective, affirmative, and the negative is unreliable. So here, the service was unreliable, very bad service, difficult to depend on the service. When I was young, cuando, okay, I was young, joven, and it remains so. So it continues so. In this case, it's the substitution for the adjective. So is the substitution for the adjective, and the adjective was unreliable, so it remains very unreliable. So it's possible to say it remains so because you have the previous adjective, and this is definitely more advanced. It's more impressive. It's very good level, and I recommend to really improve, to move to advanced, this type of grammar is important. Okay, the next example, adjective, anxious. She is very anxious. She has been so that's a substitution for the adjective. So she has been very anxious since the accident. So remember the difference between since and from. Since is one moment in the past, and from is usually from one moment hasta another, or to another. Okay, so since is one moment and the accident was one moment. So basically it's to avoid repetition. It's to make the sentence more fluent, more quick, and to make it quicker. So it's a very good example. Anxious is the adjective, and she has been so is the substitution for the adjective. Very, very important. Okay. The next one is also very advanced and very important. More so or less so. When we are comparing, we use more so and less so as substitutes again. Okay. So comparison, the kitchen is very old-fashioned. Okay. The living room, more so. So it's a comparison that the living room is more old-fashioned, but you can replace so with old-fashioned. So very old-fashioned, and the living room is more old-fashioned, but more so. It's a substitution to make the sentence a bit more fluent and a bit more comfortable, I suppose. All right, so in the next example, my old office, verb to be, was very dark. So here's the adjective, and it's very dark. My new office, less very dark, but less so. That's a very fluent structure and very fluent English. Okay, very good. The next, again, so as a substitute. With some verbs, we often use so instead of repeating an object clause, especially in short answers. So the verb, will Megan be at the meeting today? So the verb is will, be, the verb to be, at the meeting, I think so. That's a substitution for I think she will be at the meeting. Okay, I think Megan will be is the substitution for so. And that's very fluent, very quick, and very advanced. Okay, the next train is going to be, so the verb is to be in the future, half an hour late. Okay, they told me so. Here is the substitution for the verb. So they told me that the train is going to be late. Okay, so it's a simple substitution, very fluent, and in reality, it's very quick, and that's a very advanced technique. Okay, when I bought the ticket, the verb is to buy, comprar, and the past is bought. Okay, and there's the explanation. Good, so that is interesting. And here we continue. So, with reporting verbs. And remember, the reporting verbs are I believe, I say, I tell, I hear, I read, to report. They're the typical reporting verbs, okay? We sometimes use so in the front position in short responses. And here's an example, okay? Janet got the job. She achieved, she received the job. So I heard. I heard that Janet got the job. That's very conversational, very common, and very important. The next example, the council has given planning permission. So given is the present perfect, has given, present perfect, planning permission for another shopping center. Remember, another is for singular because it's a singular center, and other would be for plural, other shopping centers, but here it's another shopping center, singular. Okay, so I read in the paper. Because it's a verb for reporting, hear and read, you can say so I heard, so I read, so I saw, and that's the rule for the reporting verbs. It's possible with these verbs, so I believe in the front position, so I believe, so I said, so I told, or so she told me, so I heard, so I read. Okay, very advanced. Also in conversation, these are very important. So am I, so do I, neither do I. Okay, that's the negative. So the verb is to be, the verb is to do, and the verb is to do here. So here's the explanation. When we use so with be and with modal verbs can, may, might, must, should, ought to, and auxiliary verbs have and to be, to mean in the same way, or tambien as well, or to, okay? We use it in order to avoid repeating a verb. So when it's more fluent and you're more comfortable with English, this is very proficiency. You can avoid repeating the same verb, okay? Especially in short responses with the pronoun. Okay, and here is the structure. Jeff is a very good long distance runner, and so is his wife. So Jeff is a very good long distance runner, and so is his wife. So basically it's so plus the verb to be and the subject. Okay, here's the verb so, the verb to be, and the person, the subject. Okay, the next example. What are you doing tonight? I have got, so I have loads, a lot of exam marking to do, to the verb to do, and I'm staying at home. So here's the verb to stay, and so am I. So that's the substitution for I am staying at home. Okay, so in this case, so is the substitution for staying. The next example, they all joined the new gym, and after 3 weeks, so did I. In this case, so is the substitution for joined. Okay, so they all joined the gym and after 3 weeks, I joined the gym. So to avoid to repeat the same structure, it's possible to say, and so did I, or so did she. In this case, he. Okay, neither do I in the negative, not or either or nor and neither when we want to give a negative. So the example, I don't think, the verb is think. In the negative, she will be coming to the party, neither do I. So it's the substitution for I don't think she will be coming. And in the negative, it's possible, nor do I or neither do I. Similar to tampoco. Okay, so very important. And again, in spoken English, for exclamation, this is very fluent for sure. When we make exclamative responses, we can use so as a substitute before the subject and verb be. or subject and modal and auxiliary. Here's the example. We're out, fuera de sal. No tenemos más sal. We are out of salt. Okay? And so we are. So that's exclamation. Yes, we are. Bit difficult, very fluent, and I recommend to try to understand this because it's very common in conversations with very friendly situations, informal situations, every situation. Here's another example for exclamation. Look, mum, I can climb, climar, all the way to the top. So you can. So it's an exclamation. It's recognition of the ability. So a bit difficult, but interesting. And the next one as a conjunction. This is more typical and more understandable, I think. Conjunction to introduce clauses, result, or a decision. So again, so is the result. And here, I got here late, I arrived late. It was a long journey. The result of the long journey, so I'm really tired now. Okay, so in this case, so is to express the next clause, the result. And the next example, you are right, you are correct, of course. So the consequence of you being right, I think we will accept that the bank offers. So it's a consequence. So is a linker to link to the consequence. The next example, it's much cheaper. So that's the comparative adjective. And again, to make this more intense, it's possible to say it's so much cheaper with that airline, isn't it? That's a question, tag question, a bit difficult. Here is the conjunction or the linker to the consequence. So it's cheap, and the consequence, I will get, I will buy, I will obtain all the tickets for us with them, with that airline. Okay, and again, the next part I think we saw in the British Council explanation, so and that for the clause to represent the consequence. Okay, reason and explanation or consequence. Just a couple examples. They both went, and the preposition for diet is normally on a diet. I am on a diet, to go on a diet. The typical preposition is on a diet so that they could play more football with their friends. For me, in conversation, I think it's possible and almost the same to say so. In conversation, it's almost the same. Okay, but technically and grammatically, if you have a new clausula, it's necessary so that. But in reality, so is possible alone in conversation. Okay, here is another one. It was so hot. The day, for example, the weather was so hot. That is the introduction to the consequence. We didn't leave the air-conditioned room all day. So here, so and that. And it's possible the position of the adjective in the middle. The next, the verb to drive, conducir, past irregular, drove. They drove so fast with the adjective, the consequence that they escaped the police car that was chasing them, perseguir. Okay? And in again spoken English, to summarize. So basically when you're speaking and you want to summarize and to finish a conversation or to finish a presentation, it's possible to say so, to en sumar. Okay, and that's possible here. So we've covered the 19th century. So this is an example from a lecture on English literature. We've covered the 19th century and we're now going to look at all the experiments in the novel in the early 20th century. So it's to summarize in conclusion, spoken and maybe a little informal. Okay, and the next one, discussing or having a conversation whether, if to eat a pudding or keep it until the following morning. I'm not having it cold, so I'm not eating the pudding cold in the morning. Oh, in conclusion, what sort of pudding is it? What type of pudding is it? Okay, so what time does the film start? Okay, and then finally, with other uses in speaking, so far, hasta ahora, and that's very common and very important. Very simple, but very, very frequent and very important. So in this class, so far, we have looked at so and such, and so far, it has been quite difficult. Hasta ahora. Okay, so far. And here's the example. When I came, the verb to come in the past to the flat, the piso, all the lights were still on. Okay, and that's a different one. Question, to express surprise or suspicion. So if you want to express surprise or suspicion, it's possible to say, is that so? So that's another example. So when I came to the flat, all the lights were on. So you could see all the lights. Oh, is that so? I'm surprised and I'm also suspicious. And she says yes. And I think almost finally, indicate the size or extent of something in informal speaking, to indicate the size and the extent. So here, a valuable diamond ring, referring to a valuable diamond ring, it's about so small. So it's possible to say it's about so small, this small. So it's like this, that small, so small, okay? And again, like this, hold that racket. So the racket is for tennis, the tennis racket. Hold that racket in your left hand. So that's right. And like this, not very serious, not very important, but it is possible. And then the final example, they say, in speaking, we also use so to intensify words. We stress so quite strongly. And they say it's very common among young speakers. So for example, I'm so not interested. That's a bit dramatic. So you need to say, I'm so not interested, to stress the so, to mean that you're really not interested. That's so, Jack. So basically, that's like Jack. Okay, that is so what I want to hear. So that is exactly not what I want to hear. So that's a more advanced explanation of so. Very, very good website, and I recommend that you review this website, in particular for this page for so, but for any other issue, I recommend this page as well. And now we will move to such. So this is the last explanation. It's shorter. Again, it's from Cambridge, but it's probably a bit more advanced than the British Council intermediate section. Okay, such. So again, we have seen such in relation to the substantive, no problem. That's the same as the British Council. This is a bit more advanced. So such with the significance of this or that kind. So that's more advanced, and we need to look at the example. Here we go. You must not destroy people's houses. I could never agree to such a plan. For me, this is very important to understand because it's very advanced and very fluent, and it's very common in texts. And basically it means I could never agree to such a plan. Again, it's like a substitution for the previous plan. And the previous plan is destroy people's houses. So I could never agree to such a plan. But because it's a substantive, you need such. Okay, the next example. A college is offering a degree in pop music composition. It is the only such course. So this such is the substitution for the previous type of course, a degree in pop composition. So that's more difficult for me to, for people to understand, I think, but it is very, very important for sure. The only course of that kind. Okay, and again, such and that is the consequence, and we have seen this already, but such is with the substantivo, and the consequence is important that. Okay, we have seen that already. And that's it. So that's very good work, very, very high level, very advanced, probably proficient in some senses of so and such. So to review, we did the British Council explanation with some exercises, and then we moved to the Cambridge website to discuss so, and then we moved to the Cambridge website again to continue with such. So well done. I will try to continue with more videos myself next week in relation to grammar, and I hope this video helps you a little bit. Please let me know your comments and your opinion, and everything is free. If you want to make a little tip or a contribution, it's possible. There's my details if you want. It's not necessary, it's just an option if you want. Maybe €1, €2, the PayPal or the Bizum, and hopefully I can continue to work in this way. And I have another class next week, so I plan to have the free classes in the morning next week, and at the weekend possibly I need to decide. But that's everything. So thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy your weekend, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.